You know, sitting around a campfire brings back memories of when I was a little boy. And we would go camping, and I'd listen to stories at night, either told by my dad or by my grandfather. And brings back a lot of good memories. Seems like things were simpler back then, made a whole lot more sense. Kind of brings to mind a story I once heard. It's a story about a foolish town or foolish kingdom, a foolish king, and a very, very intelligent young man. There was once a small kingdom that had a very, very vain ruler. He wanted to look great. I mean, he wanted to have the best of everything. And he looked in his closet, and he looked at all of his clothes, and he decided that he needed a whole new wardrobe, but he wanted one that was better than anybody else had. So he hired a couple of men who were thieves and shysters and con men. They said that they could build him some clothes, sew him some clothes, a whole wardrobe that not only would they look better than anything that has ever been, they would also be very helpful because only wise people could see them. And the king thought, and he said, wow, that's a great idea. I could find out who in my kingdom, who in my court is actually a fool. The only thing that the salesman asked for was gold. Sacks and sacks of gold. So the king kind of set up a room for them, and they went in the room and he started bringing them gold. Every day he brought a sack of gold for them. And he would come in and he'd ask them, how are my clothes doing? How's my wardrobe? And they would pretend like they were holding out clothes and cloth and say, doesn't this look great? And he thought, and he says, oh my goodness, I don't see them. So is it true that maybe I'm the fool? But he still continued to bring them more and more gold. And finally the day came that they said all of his wardrobe was ready. And so he decided that in honor of his brand new, beautiful wardrobe made out of gold, that he would actually have a parade. And it would be this wonderful parade where not he and all of the court would go out before the people, and they would be able to see his beautiful wardrobe. And so he went into the room, and they put the pretend clothes on him, and he didn't see anything, but he didn't want anybody to think that he was a fool. So he acted like he saw them. And he went out in the carriage that was pulled by beautiful horses. And he got his whole court, you know, all the soldiers and everything to follow behind him. And all the people in the kingdom lined the road. And he started out on his journey down this road that was lined on both sides by people. And everybody was cheering, and they said how great he looked, because they didn't want to appear to be foolish. So he continued on this road. Then all of a sudden, a little boy tugged on his dad's coat. And he says, Dad, why doesn't the king have any clothes on? And people that were standing around him heard that. And they all started, you're right, he doesn't have any clothes on. And so instead of pretending as though he had clothes, they realized that they had all been foolish, not because they didn't see the clothes, but because they acted like they did see the clothes. kind of brings to mind that in a way we've gotten to be just like that. We listen to everything on TV. We listen to the media. We read this, we read that. And we believe what they tell us. When common sense would tell us it isn't true. So, words of wisdom. If you see a naked man going down the street, don't tell him he's got no clothes on. And don't believe everything you hear or hear from somebody else. Trust what you see. Sounds like good advice to me.